Why will you never be rich? Not because you lack intelligence, not because you're lazy, and not because the world is unfair. No, you'll never be rich because what you mean by rich does not exist. You see, when most people say they want to be rich, they don't mean money. They mean freedom, security, happiness. They mean to arrive at a point where life is finally complete. But here is the trick. Money cannot give you that. And so, no matter how much you accumulate, you'll never feel rich. Because what you're seeking is not money. Money is only numbers, symbols, promises on paper. You can hold a banknote, yes, but what does it mean? On its own, it cannot feed you, cannot clothe you, cannot love you. It is always pointing to something else. Yet we confuse the symbol with the reality. We imagine the number in the bank account contains happiness, like water in a jug. But when you finally get that number, what happens? You immediately want another number, a bigger jug. More, more, more. And so the pursuit never ends. That is why wealth feels hollow. Think of this. If you cannot be satisfied with a little, you will never be satisfied with a lot. The man who cannot delight in a loaf of bread will not suddenly delight in a feast. The feast will quickly become ordinary, then boring. Because the problem is not in the food, but in the mind. So too with money. If you cannot enjoy simplicity, no amount of luxury will cure you. You will keep raising the stakes, moving the goalposts, convincing yourself just a little more, and then I'll feel secure. But that little more never arrives. And this is why, in truth, you will never be rich. Because wealth is not a matter of what you have, but how you see. A child can feel rich with a toy made of sticks. A monk can feel rich with only a robe and a bowl. But a millionaire can feel poor in his mansion, anxious, restless, always looking over his shoulder. For money multiplies your tendencies. The restless become more restless, the fearful more afraid, the generous more giving. Money does not make you rich, it amplifies who you already are. Let us think of the word rich. What does it really mean? To most, it means to have more than enough, to be free of worry, to finally rest. But notice, this definition is slippery. For when a man of modest means reaches his goal, he suddenly moves the target. Enough is never enough. He once dreamed of earning thousands. When he has it, he dreams of millions. And the man with millions dreams of billions. So the condition of rich is always in the future, just out of reach, forever dangling like a carrot before the donkey. And yet, the donkey never stops to realize the joke that the carrot was tied to his own neck the whole time. So too with money. We chase it, convinced it is happiness, only to find that happiness keeps moving forward as we do. And so, you will never be rich, if by rich you mean the final satisfaction of desire. For money cannot still desire. Desire is endless. It multiplies like rabbits. The more you feed it, the hungrier it grows. And so, the rich man is often the poorest of all, starving in the midst of abundance. Let me be clear. Poverty is not romantic. Hunger is not holy. A man starving for food cannot be lectured about enlightenment. But what I am saying is this. Beyond the basic needs, beyond food, water, shelter, and some measure of security wealth, does not add happiness. It only adds complexity. It adds more locks, more fears, more comparisons. The man with a single bowl can enjoy his meal. The man with 10,000 bowls worries which to choose, which is safest, which makes him appear most important. And in this worry, the simple act of eating is lost. So wealth, beyond necessity, often subtracts as much as it adds. It subtracts peace, it subtracts simplicity, it subtracts the immediacy of joy. You cannot eat 2 meals at once. You cannot sleep in 2 beds. You cannot wear 10 coats at the same time. But the wealthy man surrounds himself with options and still feels empty. Why? Because wealth is not measured in possessions, but in presence. And presence cannot be purchased. It cannot be stored in a vault. It is here, now, or it is not at all. This is the true poverty of wealth. So why will you never be rich? Because if rich means reaching the end of striving. You will never arrive. Wealth is not a destination. It is a mirage. Every step closer shifts it further away. And those who spend their lives in pursuit of it often die realizing they missed the whole point. They spent decades trading life for money, but forgot that money was meant to serve life. And so they are surrounded by gold, but starved of joy. They climbed the ladder, only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. The truth is, you can only be rich now, in this moment, by seeing the richness of what already is, by tasting your food, by listening to the birds, by loving your friends, by laughing at the absurdity of it all. That richness cannot be bought. It is not in the bank. It is in awareness. And once you see that, money regains its place not as the source of happiness, but as a tool, a servant. Useful? Yes. Necessary? In part, but never ultimate. For you are already rich in being, if only you will notice. People believe that if they think positively, visualize riches, and affirm wealth, the universe will deliver. They call this manifestation. And there is some truth to it, though not in the way most people imagine. You see, manifestation is not about bending the universe to your ego's will. It is about aligning yourself with the current that is already flowing. If you row against the river, you exhaust yourself. If you flow with it, things come with ease. Money, too, flows toward those who dance with life, not those who resist it. But here is the danger. Many approach manifestation as yet another form of greed. They say, I will visualize a mansion, a yacht, a fortune. And even if they succeed, they discover the same emptiness, because they were manifesting symbols, not reality. They were chasing the carrot again. True manifestation is not forcing things into being, it is listening. It is the ability to sense what life itself wants to express through you. Sometimes that may bring money, yes. Sometimes it may bring something far more precious, a sense of freedom, creativity, or love. Once there was a fisherman who lived by the sea. He caught enough fish each day to feed his family, and then he sat in the sun, played with his children, and sang songs. A businessman visited him and said, why don't you work harder, catch more fish, buy more boats, build a company? Then you'll be rich. The fisherman asked, and then what? The businessman said, then you can retire, sit in the sun, play with your children, and sing songs. The fisherman laughed and said, but I already do that now. This story reveals the illusion. We postpone living, imagining that someday, with enough money, we will finally be free. But freedom delayed is freedom denied. The rich man is often still bound by his own mind, always working, always planning, always worrying. The fisherman, though poor, already touched the essence of wealth, the ability to live fully, here and now. That is why you will never be rich if you imagine riches are somewhere else, sometime later. For later never comes. The only wealth is in living now. I do not say this to scold ambition. Ambition has its place. It drives creation, it builds cities, it feeds innovation, but ambition without awareness is madness. It becomes endless striving with no rest, no joy. Manifestation, rightly understood, is not the art of piling up wealth, but the art of expressing life. To create not because you crave symbols, but because creativity itself flows through you. And if money comes, let it. If it goes, let it. For wealth is not in the coins, but in the current of life moving through you, endlessly, joyfully, now. The trouble with our modern obsession with money is that we treat it as though it were the substance of life. But money is not the meal, it is the utensil. You cannot eat the fork, and yet, how many of us spend our lives polishing forks? We polish, collect, compare, and then die hungry. The truth is that life is already rich before money enters the picture. Sunlight is free, breath is free, laughter is free, and yet most overlook these riches, believing them worthless simply because no one placed a price tag on them. A king once asked a wise man, "How can I become rich enough to never want again?" The wise man replied, "You must learn the wealth of wanting less." But the king scoffed. He thought wealth meant expansion, building, conquering, so he spent his life amassing kingdoms, only to die unsatisfied, still wanting more. The wise man, with his single robe and bowl, smiled, for he had mastered the art the king never understood, to enjoy what is without clutching for what is not. That is the only wealth that cannot be taken away. So what about you? Perhaps you tell yourself, "I don't want to be endlessly wealthy. I only want enough." But beware that enough always grows larger, like a shadow that lengthens as the sun goes down. If your happiness depends on reaching it, you will always feel behind. True richness is to recognize that you already stand within abundance. That doesn't mean you cannot earn or create or grow, but it means that your happiness is not postponed until the bank balance rises. It means you are free to live now, even as you build tomorrow. Manifestation, rightly understood, is not about pulling money out of thin air like a magician's trick. It is about clarity. When you stop chasing symbols, you notice the opportunities that were always around you, the ideas, the people, the paths that align with your being. Money may flow as a result, but it is a side effect, not the prize. The real prize is living in such harmony that life itself feels abundant, whether you are holding a dollar or a diamond. For what you radiate returns to you. But if you radiate emptiness, no fortune will fill it. And this is why so many who manifest wealth find themselves disappointed. They may receive the car, the house, the promotion, but soon they are restless again. Because what they manifested was only the outer shell, not the inner content. You cannot manifest happiness by chasing its shadows. Happiness is here, in awareness. From that awareness, you may create wealth, but the wealth does not create the awareness. This is the inversion most miss. They think money brings joy, but in truth, joy brings money, or at least it brings the ability, not in money, but in spirit. They may not have much, but they glow with life. They laugh easily, they give generously, they are unafraid. And then think of the wealthiest in money who are endlessly tense, guarded, suspicious. Which would you rather be? Truly, wealth of spirit shines brighter than gold. This is not to scorn money, but to place it in its right order. First, awaken your being. Then, let money play its role. But if you reverse the order, you may gain the world and lose your soul. So, why will you never be rich? Because the kind of richness you imagine, final, absolute, perfect, is an illusion. Life is not built that way. Life is change, flux, flow. The moment you pin it down, it slips away. Richness is not in grasping, but in dancing. It is the richness of a song which vanishes even as you enjoy it. The richness of laughter which cannot be held. The richness of love which deepens when it is shared, not possessed. And if you can understand this, then you will know you are already rich and always were. The greatest manifestation is not of money, but of meaning. To live in such a way that each day feels worthwhile. To create, to love, to serve, to grow. If money supports this, welcome it. If not, do not mourn. For money is but one instrument among many. The real treasure is the symphony of life itself, the endless variety of experience, the miracle of consciousness. And that cannot be bought, cannot be sold, cannot be taken. It is yours, whether your pocket is full or empty. So, you see, you will never be rich in the way you think, because that kind of richness does not exist. But you can be rich in the way that matters, rich in awareness, in wonder, in love. Rich in the ability to enjoy the morning light, to laugh with a friend, to face life without clutching at it, and if money comes, let it serve. If it goes, let it go. For true richness is not in the numbers, but in the knowing. And when you see this, you are free, free to live, free to love, and free to be.